Hey everybody, welcome back to Tying Tuesday. I am Taylor with AvidMax. I am the director of purchasing here, and today we are going to be tying up one of my favorite little carp flies. So this is called the Scorpion. It's a really good generalist pattern. It kind of imitates a little bit of everything. It could be a damsel, it could be a leech, it could be a crawfish. In the thumbnail, I kind of highlight some different colors I like to tie it in. And one of the reasons I like to fish it so much is it gives a really nice profile when it is sitting on the bottom of the lake, the river, whatever you're fishing. It kind of stands upright like a scorpion. So I'll kind of demonstrate that when we're done tying it. But yeah, sit on down and let's tie a fly together. So the hooks that I am using today are going to be the Fulling Mill 1167. It is a nice curved hook to help with that curved profile that I like. For thread, I'm using Danville's 140 denier in olive. 140 is kind of the sweet spot to keep the body not too bulky, but strong enough to really lock down all the materials. So we'll just kind of get a good thread base for the eyes. And for the eyes, for this particular one, I'm using Hareline's bead chain eyes in black. But in other variations of this, you can use dumbbell eyes, tungsten lead, whatever you prefer. I like to have a few different options for different sink rates, which is a very important aspect of carp fishing. So as I tie that down, I'll just give it, some good locking thread wraps in the middle, and I'll hit it with a little bit of super glue. Oh, try not to get too much on the eyes themselves. Just a little dab in the middle. We'll rotate that around, do some thread wraps to help move that glue around. Zap it real quick to get it to dry. All right, and then once the eyes are locked in, we'll just continue building our thread base all the way down here to just about the bend of the hook, maybe a little more into the bend of the hook. From there, I like to readjust it in the vise. So when we tie in the tail material, it's just a little bit easier for us. So tail material is going to be some Marabou. Obviously we're tying olive with this one since we're doing an olive thread base. And this is the Nature Spirit Marabou. Really good material, really fluffy, really wavy. Love this stuff. So to get our sizing correct, we're gonna lay 2 feathers on top of each other. So as you see, I got 1, 2. I pinch them in my finger, and I like the tail to be about the length of the shank on the hook. So this is a little bit long. We'll pinch her down some more, choke up on it, almost there. There we go. So when I get my length I like, I'll sit it right on the bend of the hook and give her 1 loose wrap, give her 1 more that's a little bit tighter, and then when I like that position, I'll lock her down, give it a couple thread wraps up. Yeah, that's looking good, and I'll trim off the excess just like that. The cut doesn't need to be super neat. We're gonna wrap over it. And then we'll save those 2 Marabou feathers that we just cut off because I like to use the side in another part of this fly. So we'll just kind of secure the cut end onto the shank, give it a few more thread wraps, lock everything down, and we're gonna go back to the base of where that Marabou ends, or where I cut it off. From there, we're going to tie in some Sili legs. These are Wapsi Sili legs, I think in pumpkin seed, barred, with black, blue flakes. To be honest, I'm not quite sure. It doesn't really matter what color, whatever color you like is the perfect one for this fly. I just like that it adds a little extra movement. Oh no, that one broke, okay. One more try. There we go. And to lock him down, I'm just bending it over the line like that, and then you can kind of pull it into the body. And although I start to lay it on my side, I'll kind of rotate it so it lays on top. I'll give it a couple thread wraps, just loose, and then I'll let go and figure out where they lay. I kind of did a good job of this already, but you want to kind of split that Marabou. If it doesn't lay where you want, you can, give one a little pull to where it lays exactly how you want. And when you like it, go ahead and lock those down with a couple thread wraps. You're good to go. And that is all we will do for the tail. And the next part is we'll build up the body. So for the body, I like to use, this might be a little too big, some Hareline ice dub. Color, again, doesn't really matter. I've used caddis green in the past. This one I'm going to use Peacock. But I just like that the ice dub has a little bit of flash while maintaining that color. You don't really see the body on this fly, but the flash comes through just enough to be extra enticing, in my opinion. So we'll grab a little bit of dubbing, spread it out, twist it into a noodle. It doesn't need to be super tight on this body, or for the main body. You just want it to be available to cover up everything. Give it a couple wraps, and we stop about halfway down the shank of the hook. And at this point, I like to readjust the fly back to a more normal orientation. Perfect. And I will grab a few more Sili legs. And for this one, I'm going to tie it on both sides of the body. So I'm going to start, shot around. I'm going to start on my side, lock those in. I'll grab one more and get that far side. And just like we did with the tail, give them through a few thread wraps, lock them in, and then see where they lay and adjust accordingly. So I want that singular one to be a little higher up. See if I can get it without ruining the others. Sili legs can be a little hard to work with. Oh, they do live up to their name. Yeah, just undid that one. All right, good enough. So whenever you're satisfied with the placement of those, we're gonna do another dubbing noodle and just cover up another 1/8 of an inch of that shank. We don't want to go all the way to the eyes, and I'll show you why here in a little bit, but do some more dubbing, spin that up, and lock her down. This is another really good kind of last opportunity to get those legs right where you want them. Yeah, we'll call that good. All right, and we're gonna stop just behind the eyes. So you see I have a little bit of room there. My eyes are a little cattywampus on this one, but try not to let my perfectionism take over. So with that gap, we're gonna flip the fly on its underbelly, even though this is the side that will ride up when you fish it. And we're gonna take those Marabou feathers from earlier, and you see how maybe it doesn't come across super well on camera, but when I cut it, there's this really flat edge. It doesn't look very natural, but there's still all these really good little side pieces. Oh, kicked it off. That look natural, they look, you know, flowy, they look great. So we're going to peel off as much of that good material as we can get off of 1 or 2 feathers until you've got, how do I describe that size? A good pinch of feathers. I have no clue the size or how to describe that. But you want it to cover up kind of that body. So as I turn it, this one looks to be about right. Granted, it'll get squeezed down. But you just want to cover up that hook. So when it lays, see if I can show this on camera, it'll kind of lay like that. So when you're satisfied with your size, we're going to drape it over the thread, bring it in, and do 1 loose wrap again. We're going to do, oh, I caught a silly leg. Get out of there, buddy. Maybe it can be a little difficult to work with. We're going to do 1 more loose wrap. And as you see, like that feather is not exactly where I want it to lay. So we're going to lift up, rotate it into place, and then I'm going to pull down to the length that I want. So you want it to go just past the hook point. So we'll keep pulling, keep pulling, keep pulling. There we go. And I've got maybe 1/8 of an inch longer than the hook point, which is what I'm looking for. Oh, kick that silly leg back over. And I like to pinch the hook point. So hopefully, so I pinch it in between my 2 fingers to kind of hold everything in place. And I'll give it a few more thread wraps to really lock that down. Perfect. And then with the extra Marabou, snip her off. Again, it doesn't need to be a super clean cut. We're going to cover all of this up with dubbing in just a little bit. But now that I have that bottom covered up, we're going to rotate the fly back to its in the vise orientation, the top. And we're going to grab some deer body hair. Again, olive. The reason I'm using body hair is it is not as hollow as rump hair or elk hair, anything like that. So it doesn't float, one, and it doesn't sprawl out whenever you tie down. It sprawls out a little bit, but not quite as bad. So again, we're grabbing a solid pinch that kind of mimics the size of our tail, a little bit more than the belly of the fly. And we're going to take that bundle and just lay it over. Again, I'm going for about a shank length. So I like where that's at. Just like we did before, we're going to do 1 or 2 loose wraps. Make sure it's in position for what we want. A little short. And continue to wrap. As we wrap more, we want to apply more and more pressure, but not too much pressure to break the thread. And as you see, that thread will start, or the hair will start to kind of fan out. And we'll keep going. All right, give it 3 or 4 extra thread wraps with all this extra hair. Take your scissors. I like to go in between the eyes and give her a nice little haircut. Just a couple there. All right, she's got a few free fingers. We'll get those trimmed off. Again, it doesn't need to be super clean. We're going to cover it up, but I like the looks of that. And we're going to take our thread, make one last dubbing noodle, and I like this one to be thin. The head already has so much material with that body hair that it can be overdone really quickly. So we're going to make this a longer dubbing noodle, maybe 3-4 inches. We're gonna spin it up. All right, and we're just going to cover up what we just tied and give it 2 or 3 wraps, and then we're gonna go in between the eyes and cover everything up there. So, all right, give it a nice little dubbing helmet, I guess you can call it. And then from there, you want to adjust your thread so it comes to the eye of the hook. When you're doing your little wraps, oh, see if I can move that. You don't want to end up on the back towards the body. Just makes for a cleaner presentation. So last thing we're going to do, just a quick whip finish. Oh, there we go. And lock that bad boy down. I'll do 2 just to be extra secure. And you can either hit that with some head cement or another little thing of super glue if you would like. And we are almost done. The very last thing I'm going to do is grab all of my Sili legs all at the same time and bring them to the back and line them up with the Marabou tail. We're going to take that Sili legs and cut them even with the tail. Be careful not to pull on them too much, otherwise they'll shrink up and rebound and be extra crazy. So we'll cut those. Everything looks nice, happy, looks good. Give it a quick spin there. And then, like I promised earlier, I'll show you why I like this fly so much. So that deer hair helps it kind of stand with its butt in the air. It just gives a really nice profile. So that way when the fish comes along and mouths down on it, hooks right there. Yummy little snack for them. Thanks for tuning in. Feel free to like, comment, subscribe. It helps us out a ton. Let us know what flies you want to see us tie next, and we'll see you on the next one.